Okay. So, thus with this I do not want to go for these equations, these are alternate equations from the basic equation what we have derived from that this couple Ebers-Moll equations can be altered. Okay, this you can go through that. These are the alternative versions of this Ebers-Moll equations. Okay. And finally, we have this model. So, everybody should be familiar with this model and even the different sorts of bias what we apply, and this model is going to provide solution for all sort of bias. Probably if you look at in earlier class we discussed about this, what are different bias the this model will support. So, basically we discussed normal mode where emitter based junction is forward biased, collector based junction is reverse biased, and even the inverted mode also we have discussed where emitter based junction is reverse biased, collector based junction is forward biased. This is called inverted mode. And last class I given you hint to try to analyze what is going to happen to the currents for these two biasing schemes. When emitter based junction is forward biased, okay, so this junction is forward biased, and even collector based junction is also forward biased. So, try to analyze this, and we will in a couple of minutes we will get back to the solutions for these two things. And even when both junctions are reverse biased, emitter based junction reverse biased and collector based junction reverse biased. Just think about these two type of bias, what is happening, whether this model can provide a solution for these two biasing schemes or not. You can just think of that. In a couple of minutes we will give solutions for that. Okay. So, let me move on to the here. This is what I was telling. What will happen to the this is, let me discuss this point here. This model is a trusted model, and I already told you this given a hint to you. When both are reverse biased, what is going to happen? Any idea you have when both are reverse biased, when emitter based junction is reverse biased, collector based junction is reverse biased, what does this model tells you? Do you get any current in the at the base? Any answers from your side? Just look at this model and try to provide the answers for this. The condition here is both junctions are reverse biased, emitter based junction reverse biased, collector based junction reverse biased. Just look at these equations here. These equations I will highlight, which is in yellow color here. Observe these equations, and you can think of what this model gives you, what kind of solution it gives you when both junctions are reverse biased. Just think about it. Okay. Any answers you have? No answers? Probably if you understood this coupled diode model, definitely you can give answers for that. Now, think about this, what happens to this delta P under reverse bias condition? We already discussed this in earlier classes, right? Delta P under reverse bias. What is delta P? Look at that mathematical terms associated with this delta P. Okay, so delta P is nothing but it depends on voltage here, right? It is exponentially related with this emitter base voltage, right? Let me show you this delta P equation. You can see here this is delta P equation. So, delta P is nothing but it is P n times, what is this delta P? It is nothing but whole distribution, right, within the base region. Okay, so, delta P we have shown the whole distribution on emitter based junction side and whole distribution on the collector based junction side also. So, delta P is very large at the emitter based junction and it becomes 0 at the collector based junction. Okay. So, delta P is given by this equation P n times e to the power of q V e b by k t minus 1. Now, since emitter based junction is reverse biased, this numerator term here, what you are seeing here, this is reverse biased. That means, this becomes a negative. When exponential term is negative, this term completely becomes negligible, right. So, that means delta P becomes negative minus P n. Okay. So, this becomes negative. That means, this is not allowing current here, right. So, this becomes an open circuit. This is delta P becomes 0 here, it is close to 0 here, and look at here delta P is also here, this also becomes 0. That means this is open circuit, this is also open circuit. And look at delta PC, even we are reverse biasing this collector base junction, right. Okay. So, what happens to delta PC? Delta PC is now, let us look into the equation of delta PC. I would like to show you the equation of delta PC. Look at here, there is a delta PC equation. So, delta PC is again it is Pn times e to the power of q Vcb by Kt minus 1. Since collector base junction is reverse biased, this quantity here exponential term is reverse biased. So, therefore, this value becomes negative, this complete term goes to 0. So, therefore, approximately this delta PC is also going to become 0. Okay. So, when delta PC becomes 0, this term get eliminate here, this also, since delta PC is present here, this also get eliminate here. What will happen now? Between emitter and the collector, it is just a open circuit, right. So, this model tells us that when emitter base junction and collector base junction are reverse biased. So, this model tells us that between the emitter and collector there is a open circuit. So, this model helps us to analyze complex circuit also. Whenever you want to analyze BJT based circuit, like which contains resistors, capacitors, you can plug this model in place of BJT and you can make an analysis. Suppose if emitter base junction is reverse biased, collector base junction also reverse biased, under such condition the BJT will act like a open circuit. Okay. The next question is, this is little bit tougher question. Okay. Would you get a base current here, whether base current is large or small for this condition? First of all, what is the condition here? There is a symmetrical transistor PNP. That means doping in the emitter region is same as doping in the collector. This is symmetrical PNP transistor, and both your forward biasing emitter base junction, collector base junction. Will you get any base current, or if there is a base current, whether it is a large or small? What does the model tells you? Can you think of this quickly? Just take 2 minutes time and analyze these things. Anybody? I hope you understood the question here.
IB would be negligible. Not
IB is negligible.
a very small quantity.
See the condition here, I would like to mention once again the condition. There is a symmetrical BJT, that is the number 1, symmetrical PNP, that means let me draw the BJT for that type, here only it is there. You can see symmetrical means this is of P, it is not P plus here, it will be P and P. That means doping in the collector is same as doping at the emitter. Okay. That means you do not see the big depletion region like this in symmetrical PNP transistor. And we are forward biasing both emitter junction, emitter base and collector base junction. The type of polarity what we apply here is, since it is a PNP transistor, P will be, emitter will be connected to the positive terminal of battery, and this is negative, this is N. And the collector junction, since this is also P type, we are connecting this to positive terminal and base with negative. So, that means we are forward biased both collector base junction and emitter base junction. Okay. Now, under this condition, we would like to know the base current, whether it is large or small. Look at this equation once again. This equation, this delta P will provide you most of your answers, delta P and the delta PC here will give you the answer. Just look at these equations here. Delta P is connected to the VEB, right. So, as forward bias increases, what will happen here? At same time, even if you increase this voltage, So, there is again charge carriers, the holes get injected from emitter to the base, and also at the same time since this is also equally doped as you have seen the emitter. So, holes also get inject. So, that means holes get inject here because of forward bias here. Since emitter base junction is also forward bias, the holes will get inject here. The holes that are injected here will be collected by the collector, you can see here, and these holes that are injected here is collected by the emitter, and look at the quantities that get cancels here. So, now because of this quantity here cancel with this here, and this quantity here also cancel with this, and what is happening here? These currents here cancel with this current, and this current here, current source, current transfer ratio, the currents that are coming from emitter, this current cancel with this current. What is the net difference between the emitter and the collector? Okay, it cancels, it acts like open circuit again. There is no current for the symmetrical type of BJT, right? Okay. When exactly the holes movement will takes place here? I mean from the emitter to the collector or from collector to the emitter? Definitely when there is a concentration gradient, right? Suppose if we dope this, with say P plus now see what happens now. There will be some difference, right? There will be concentration gradient here, large number of holes are injected here compared to the holes that are present here, right? So, difference in the concentration gradient that drives the holes from emitter to the base, if the type of semiconductor is P plus NP semiconductor. Whereas for symmetrical, it will act like a open circuit. Now, even though there is a charge push from emitter to the base and collector to the base, this base is lightly doped, it cannot tolerate too many charge carriers here. Okay. For the symmetrical BJT, that is what I am saying. So, therefore, net current flow to the base through the base will be 0. You do not get any base current. You may get small base current due to the difference in the concentration gradient, that is all. If the doping here is little bit higher compared to the doping in the collector region, then due to the difference in the concentration gradient, you may get small amount of base current here. Otherwise, there will be no base current flowing between the emitter and the collector. Okay. So, that is what it is told here. So, first no net hole concentration gradient across the base, his answer is given here itself. So, nothing can drive the collector and emitter current here. So, you do not get any current, collector current or emitter current. So, base current will be 0 for the symmetrical type of the BJT. Second thing is if base width is narrow, so little recombination will happen. So, you may get very small amount of the base current here. Okay. So, that is only you can expect from for symmetrical type of BJT here. Okay. And these equations I told you I do not want to go for more details of this, and you can just these are alternative versions of Ebers-Moll equations here. This equation here itself, it is sufficient for you from examination point of view, even the emitter current as well as the collector current. This we have discussed many times, I do not want to go more details of these equations. And these are the few questions which we will ask you through the quiz. Okay, so just to prepare for all these questions here. The first question would be, does the model have to be symmetrically doped for the emitter and the collector? I mean same doping levels. Two things in the model at right will depend on the doping. What terms are they? So, just think about this. Okay. This will be the next quiz for you all. Why current sources? This we are told many times. Think of basic definition of current source and note how they depend on delta P and delta PC, and the voltages inside those are from another part of the circuit. Just think of this, why current sources are required. Also, if VEB and VCB both are positive, okay, what will be the base current and why the base current is flowing? If it is very large or very small or 0, or the model does not provide this information. Just think about this also. How would you change the model if WB become really large? Okay. And the hint here is, would it be still be the BJT? If not, then you eliminate 2 of the 4 circuit components in the model. Which one you want to eliminate here? Just think of that. The condition here is the base region width is larger. For that, you want to answer here, will this, will the model work like a BJT or not? First of all, you want to answer this question here. If not, then which component you would like to eliminate here? Still, it want to behave like a BJT. Would the specific BJT shown at right run better or high amplification normal mode or inverted mode? Are they, or will they be same for both the modes? Just think of this. Look at the emitter and collector dopings for this. For just think of whether it is an suited for amplification or not. If you fed in all the terms of the boxes in the yellow and green, what would be the equation reduced? A diode, a current source, or it cannot be solved. Just think of this. So, these are the possible questions you can think of before we end up this module. Do you have any questions specific? Otherwise, we will move on to the today's topic, which is drift in the base region. Okay. Okay. So, let us before we move on to the drift in the base region, I want to show you the fabrication of the bipolar junction transistor. You all studied the article or case study material that we have passed on to you for the second internal test, which describes about the fabrication of BJT. So, the continuation with that we have here this silicon here, what you are seeing, this is the column 4 element, and you are seeing here with another column 5 element as a phosphorus. Okay. So, these two things what you are seeing here, and you can see that once you solidify this in the from the molten state, kindly turn off your microphone. Who is that? Pranay, please turn off your microphone. Pranay. Somebody can call him, no? Pranay is disturbing the class. Okay. Continuation with that, we want to discuss here this drift in the base region. I just want to show you how exactly fabrication of BJT is done. You are seeing here this base material in this case is going to be the, we will start with the phosphorus as the base material. Okay. So, you can see that the phosphorus is the base material in this. So, this is a molten form of silicon what you see, that is cut into the slices like this, using different sorts of blades they use to cut into the slices. And now to make a transistor, we need to take this silicon wafer. Base material is going to be the phosphorus. See, you have to start with either to make a transistor, either you have to start with N type of material or P type of material. In this example, we are starting silicon is doped with P type of the material. That is what the base material we have chosen here. Okay. So, this base material, once it gets solidifies from the molten state, it looks like this, and this silicon ingot what we call, these are cut into the slices, and as you are seeing here several slices here. Okay. This is how the BJTs are fabricated here. This is the base material for BJT, not exactly the BJT. And if you want to make BJT on that, what you need to do is, you are seeing here the wafer which is of this N type region, N material like this. So, this is the foundation for to make BJT. On top of this, if you diffuse with variety of the materials, example in our case a P plus impurity material. Okay. So, that makes a boron if you want to add here to make a P plus material. This base material in our case is going to be the it's a P type here, which is nothing but the phosphorus here. Okay. So, N type here, this is the base material here. On top of this, if you add the boron, it becomes the P plus material here. So, it becomes, it makes to make an the P plus NP transistor, we need to add again here the P type of material at the bottom also, so that it becomes totally a P plus NP material here. So, that means you need to start with base material first. either it base material can be of n type or p type. In this example, the base material is n type. On top of that, what you are seeing is going to be the p plus material. Okay. So, this makes the p plus n junction, like that you can make other junction also, and that whole p plus np transistor can be fabricated here. Okay. At different temperatures, we need to diffuse this type of materials here, so that it makes p plus np transistor here. And in this the fabrication, what you are seeing is the base material what we have chosen is phosphorus. So, this becomes our collector. Okay, this is our base material. So, on top of that, if you add different materials like the boron, it makes the p plus, and again if you different temperatures you need to add here. Sometimes if you add little quantity, it becomes the p, and if you add more quantity, it becomes the p plus. That is how the doping, it should be added in a controlled manner here. And conventional type of discussion, theoretical discussion, like the clubbing p type and n type, and again one more p type to make a PNP transistor, that is not a correct way. The correct procedure is as shown here. Okay. So, if you understood this fabrication, definitely you can also understand this base drift in the base region. Now, let me with this basics of the fabrication, let me move on to the drift in the base region. What do we mean by drift in the base region? Okay. So, here the assumption is uniform doping in the base region. Okay. So, if you observe the base region doping, so we start with assumption that there is a breakdown in the implanted junctions, okay, from the transistor to an appreciable amount of impurity doping. Let me shrink this. You can observe this different doping profiles here. Okay, I hope you can see this diagram here. This is bit complex to understand from your perspective, but let me simplify this explanation here. So, what you are seeing in the figure A is nothing but it is a doping profile in a semi-log plot here. So, this is a doping profile, and this x axis is a distance. Okay, what you are seeing here, this is in distance here, and y axis, if you observe, it is a doping concentration which is in log scale here, and this is actual structure of a BJT which you can see here. Okay. So, this is the actual structure of a BJT, and you can identify which one is emitter, base and collector here. As I told you, the base material in the fabrication, this will be the collector, okay, and the base region is this, and the top region what you see here is going to be the emitter region. Okay. So, this is actual structure of the BJT. The distance, you can see that we are measuring from emitter side to the collector side. This is the distance as you are seeing here. So, this is the distance is 0 here, and we are moving like this in the actual physical structure. Okay. Other things, the current flow will happen from emitter to the collector. This is the direction of current flow what you are observing here. Okay. From emitter, from this region, current flows like this within this structure like this. Okay. Okay, all right. Here, this is what the doping profile this graph shows you. We start with the basic material like this what you are seeing. So, in our case, the basic material is going to be the a p type, which is nothing but a collector. So, this horizontal line what you are seeing is the basic material. This will act like a background here, and the type of impurity concentration is acceptor impurity concentration. This forms this is of the p type, and so this is due to the boron material which is acting like a base material. This acts like a collector in our case. This is a substrate, of course. Okay, this is a foundation material. On top of that, if you diffuse with the other kind of materials like phosphorus, so it forms the base region, and again on top of that, again if you diffuse with a boron with heavily doped p plus, so it forms another layer here. This profile will tell you how exactly the dopings are distributed within the p plus NP transistor here. So, there is an interaction between different dopings also. You can see initially we started with this wafer or background material which is an acceptor ion concentration which is of p type, and this is acting like a collector. Okay, so, which you are seeing here. So, this is a base material. It is like house construction. So, you know that in house construction also in building construction we lay the foundation first. In our case, foundation is the collector. So, this is the foundation first. Okay, on top of that you keep constructing several walls, right. So, likewise even in BJT also we make a base region here by diffusing with the material of the phosphorus kind of material, and then on top of that, okay, so when you diffuse with phosphorus kind of material, definitely this will be overrided by this material, right. Background material already we have is uh, this Na, acceptor impurity, that is a boron material, and if you want to override this, then this quantity must be larger compared to this the boron. Okay, so boron forms here the p type of material here. Let me write it here, boron. Okay, and if you want to override this a background or base material, then this amount of impurity to be added must be larger than this. So that means this you are converting p type of material to an n type of material. So the basis should be of an n type here. And once again, if you want to create an emitter here, you need to convert on top of this, you need to diffuse with a boron once again, that converts again this n material to p plus here. Okay, so that is why you see the a larger profile here like this, and there is overlapping, you can see here, observe here, there is small overlapping between this emitter and the base, and there is overlapping between the collector and the base, and all these three get overlapped with the background material here. So this is what the doping profile shows here, and at the bottom, as a function of a distance, you are seeing here, this is a p plus region here, and n region here, and a p region what you are seeing here. Okay. Any questions about this doping profile? I hope you understood with this doping profile with reference to this structure of BJT. Okay. This helps us to understand more about BJT by looking into the doping profiles of various regions like emitter, base, and collector. Okay, so this is a PNP, P plus NP transistor fabrication here, and this is plotted in semi-log because otherwise the value becomes very large. It's very difficult to plot within this given boundary here. So that's why we go for always a semi-log plot here. Okay. And specifically, if you look at the base region here, the net donor concentration within the base region is as shown here. You can see that here, and here the y-axis is nothing but capital N. So this indicates it is a difference in the concentration Nd minus Na. We already know Nd means it is a donor concentration, and Na is the acceptor ion concentration. Their difference is shown as along the y-axis here, and this n it varies. We take as a plot as a function of distance here. So n of 0 means this is at emitter base junction. Okay, so this is at emitter base junction, and as you move from emitter base junction to collector base junction, we already discussed about this Wb, right, as a function of distance here. Okay. So xn is 0 when you are at emitter base junction, and likewise we have an n of 0 here. Okay. N is nothing but it is the difference of Nd minus Na. There is a net donor concentration, we are donor and ion acceptor ion concentration, we are plotting as a function of distance here. So N keeps decreasing as you are seeing here, and when you move from emitter base junction to collector base junction here. So N keeps decreasing. This is what the graph shows here. Okay. So how do you analyze it? Why N keeps decreasing here? It all depends on this difference Nd and Na. Okay. Again, if you look at this, the concentrations of doping, donor ion concentration and acceptor ion concentration here. So since Na, if you look at when you are in towards this region here, okay, so the effect of this Na, you can see here of this Na base material, and this keeps decreasing. So very small here. So therefore, Nd is going to be large. This Nd is going to be large at this region. So therefore, this value of N is going to be large, because this second part component, this component is going to be small value when you are towards emitter base junction here. And as you keep moving from emitter base junction to collector base junction, you can see that this Nd keeps decreasing. That is what you are seeing from the profile here. Nd keeps decreasing. So when Nd keeps decreasing and Na is maintained as a constant, of course. So Na is maintained as a constant, and therefore when Nd keeps decreasing here, so totally N also keeps decreasing here. So that is what the graph looks like this here. If you want to represent this graph in from a mathematical point of view, this looks like Gaussian function. all of you are aware of this Gaussian function, the mathematical expression. Okay, how this, it's exponential function, right? Gaussian function. This curve also, yeah, this curve also looks like exponential function only. Okay, so this resembles like a Gaussian function. Later on, I will show you a mathematical equation for Gaussian function, or the mathematical equation for this net donor concentration in the base region. So, this width is nothing but within the width we have analyzed here, the net donor concentration, and that's this how the graph looks like here. So, look at various points what we have discussed here. So, this is doping profile we already discussed. This is what the doping profile with reference to the structure. We have shown doping profile and net donor concentration also we have shown here. And there is discontinuities you can see here now between different regions you can see here. This is what this region where in which the P plus region ends here, and this is what the region N region ends and P region commences here. And even after the boundary exceeding boundary, there is diffusion of the charge carriers here. You can see that there is a doping exists even within the boundary of the base region here. Okay. So, if you look at it, this in fact is going to be a sharp discontinuity what you see here. Okay. So, because this emitter region is not propagated into the the base region to a much deeper here. We are seeing a sharp discontinuity from emitter to the base, and there is a very sharp discontinuity between from base region to the collector region here. That is what it is shown in the doping profile here. Okay. And also in the base region also we can find out the doping discontinuity is going to be very small. Okay. And as I told you that P type background region will act like a collector here. This is the background region which is a constant here. We start with the basic material as the boron, and that is why this acts like a collector, and this doping profile is going to be constant as a function of distance. Okay. Okay, so so emitter region is heavily doped, that is we already seen, which is of a P plus region, and the second graph what you have seen is net doping concentration, which is nothing but Nd minus Na, that is indicated as N along as a function of distance we have shown here from emitter edge to the collector edge we have plotted here. Okay. And impurity gradient function can be written as N of xn now. N of xn means it is impurity concentration as a function of distance. This is a distance. Okay. And as I told you already, it varies like the Gaussian function here. Okay, from P and P transistor, and this establishes even electric field, built-in electric field, because of different concentration gradient creates electric field from emitter to the collector. This is responsible for the movement of holes within the base region here. So, we call this as a drift. So, whenever the charge carriers are moving because of the electric field, we call as a drift of charge carriers. So, that is responsible for the transport of holes within the base region here. Okay. If you look at equilibrium condition, equilibrium means both will get balanced, the charge transport due to the drift mechanism and the diffusion mechanism both will get balanced, and the total current is going to become 0. Okay. So, these current expressions are rewritten once again here for your reference here. So, the balance current due to the drift and diffusion process at equilibrium process, equilibrium condition is given by this. I just want you to analyze here under these two, the shown in flower bracket here. The reason is just can you identify which is the drift current and which is the diffusion current here among these two things. Let us label this as A and B here. I want to know whether A is A or B, which among them is diffusion or drift currents here. Anybody can highlight that? This is current due to the electrons here, electron current as a function of distance we have shown here. And one thing you can identify is this is there is electric field term associated with this the charge area, mobility, and the doping concentration. So, therefore, this A indicates it is a current due to the drift. And since there is a derivative here, this shows that there is a concentration gradient. Okay, this establishes concentration gradient. Therefore, this B is due to the diffusions. So, at equilibrium both drift current and diffusion current that will become 0. So, So, this you can simplify it to the equation, you can obtain simplified equation from that. Okay. So, also we have an equation for electric field, built in electric field, which is given by this equation 2 here. I am giving equation as 1, equation number as 1 here, and equation 2 which shows that electric field as a function of distance. This equation you have seen earlier also, which is electric field is negative, which you can see here, which is related with dN by mu n. dN indicates diffusion constant for electron mobility, and this is related with 1 by n of x n. N of x n is nothing but doping concentration as a function of distance, and d n of x n by d x n. So, this is nothing but it is a concentration or change in concentration gradient as a function of distance. This can be written in alternate form by using this Einstein relation. You can see that Einstein relation dN by mu n. So, this is equivalent to the kT by q. Okay. So, in place of this, if you substitute kT by q, you get alternate formula for this, right. So, this is equation 2, let us call this as equation 2 here. Okay. So, for a positive for a doping profile n of x n is called the which is doping as a function of distance, that decreases as you move from emitter junction to the collector junction. In a positive x n direction means you are moving from emitter junction to the collector junction. The electric field is positive because we apply positive forward bias to the emitter base junction, is positive and is directed from emitter to the collector region here. Okay. And with reference to this, as I told you, this is a exponential function, distribution function. So, this can be written as n of x n. This is nothing but doping profile as a function of distance, can be written as n of 0 into e to the power of minus a x n by w b. This equation, no need to have a proof here, you need to remember this equation. So, this shows the doping profile which is an exponential distribution. Let us call this as equation 3, and here A is given by this natural logarithm of n of 0 by n of w b. N of 0 is nothing but doping profile at the emitter junction, n of w b is nothing but doping profile at the edge of base region or the emitter collector base junction here. Okay. And you can just take a differentiation of this and we will substitute in equation 2. Equation 2 we already shown, electric field equation. So, we want to differentiate this. Look at here, we have a d of this formula here, d of x n, n of x n by d of x n. To obtain this relation, we want to differentiate this equation 3 with reference to x n. If you do this differentiation with reference to derivative, if you take a derivative of equation 3 with reference to x n, n of 0 is kept as it is, and derivative of e to the power of something is same, e to the power of minus a x n by w b, and then in the exponential term we have a x n by w b with negative value. So, that becomes minus a by w b. Okay. And if you can substitute this equation, let us call this as equation 4 after taking derivative. You can substitute this equation 4 in equation 2. Equation 2 already we said here. So, this is the equation 2. You can substitute for this derivative here, and once you do that, you get this equation E of x n is equal to minus k t by q. The same equation we are rewriting, E of x n is equal to minus k t by q. 1 by x n is kept as it is, and this part we have taken derivative. You can substitute here, and you can see that now. So, this also can be written as n of 0 into e to the power of minus a x n by w b. Just now we showed this equation, equation 3 is nothing but n of x n. So, that means this which is under flower bracket, this term becomes now n of x n. If you substitute here in place of this n of x n, this n of x n cancels with this n of x n, and this minus here will get eliminated with minus sign here. So, the final equation for electric field is E of x n, electric field as a function of a distance. This electric field is from emitter to the collector. Okay. This is the field acting between emitter and the collector, is given by k t by q into A by W b. We defined already A is nothing but as a constant, which is natural logarithm of n of 0 by n of W b, is a doping concentration at emitter junction and at the base collector base junction here. That is what the A indicates, and WB is nothing but it is the width of the base region here. Okay. So, this is the electric field equation which we have shown here directing from emitter to collector, and this electric field that is present in the base region responsible for the whole moment within the base region. Okay. In the base region already we have seen that emitter, when it keeps injecting charge carriers here, suppose if this is going to be a P plus NP transistor. So far what we discussed is the electric field within this region. So, electric field within this region should create, should transport, charges from this, emitter to the collector here. So, therefore, this is the amount of electric field that exists within the base region, and you are shown here as a function of a distance here. So, therefore, this holes keep moving within the base region for the movement of holes or drift of holes. Okay, so, the electric field is essential here. So, the electric field is now it is a function of the distance base width, and it is also a function of the doping within the base region here. Okay. So, that is what this equation tells you here, and it also depends on the transit time, the whole distribution within the base region here. The WB, if it is going to be larger, then amount of time taken is going to be large here. So, the tau t indicates it is a transit time for the charge transport within the base region here. Okay. I hope this gives you little information about drift in the base region. The whole idea here is you want to understand here how charge carriers get drifted within the base region here. What makes the charge carriers to drift within the base region here, and here for that we have shown the electric field as a function of the distance. That is what we have shown a mathematical equation here, and finally we said that this electric field is responsible for the drift of charge carriers within the base region here. Okay. So, with that I will wind up today's class, and there is a quiz question which you need to answer for the last class. I will just post this quiz in the chat box. Kindly complete this quiz before we end up today's class. It will take just 5 minutes for you to complete this quiz. It contains only 5 questions. I will just send it to the chat box. You can just complete this quiz. Okay. Just I will you have time little time for you. With that, I think I am going to wrap up today's class. I will just post the quiz in the chat box. So, kindly answer that quiz and can end up today's class. It is a bit slow. I don't know why internet connection is slow. Okay, I will stop this recording there.